hot.
Hot. Yay.
That's the first time I've heard that. Wow.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I'm confused, but okay.
All right.
Don't be confused.
Oh.
Just be excited.
Yay. Because
Ready?
why? Why?
Let's go.
Because we're hot.
Because we're hot.
Let's introduce this thing.
Okay.
Welcome to Untitled Car Project. I'm Rob Spring.
I'm Grant Gonzalez.
Jeremy Molt.
Nice. So we did have, for this week, a guest lined up that canceled last minute, so here we are. But I did have a thought, a project that we can speak of in general terms today.
Okay.
Grant's seen the project.
Ooh, I know the project. We're not
Yes.
talking about my body, right? Because
Oh.
it's always ongoing.
Oh, ongoing project.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about the super secret project.
That's the one.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that project.
Yeah. So
Double top secret.
What did you think? I mean, you got a really, I don't know if you looked at it the next day. We looked at it in the dark, under cover of tarp and flashlight. What'd you think?
I think not rusty,
No?
so that was a big bonus.
Yeah.
I think the engine was all there
Yeah.
and not, from what you described, I thought it was going to be way worse in condition on that one.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, no, this is way better to get just running in general.
Right.
But we're thinking for racing, right?
Yeah.
So seeing that, I'm like, okay, this is unlimited potential. And
Yeah,
I'm
kind of.
excited.
I mean, it's gutted already, right? There's
Yeah.
no interior. It's ready to, you could throw a cage in it and some seats once we make it run.
Yeah,
I have not personally seen it run. Heard it ran at one time.
yeah.
And then,
The old lady who owned the Lambo, she said she heard it run but never see it ran, and I got
Yeah.
that running within 2 weeks.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll have this thing running pretty quick.
Yeah.
Really.
The thing is how we're going to make it more horsepower out of it, and how we're going to, get it ready, track ready. 'Cause,
So, platform wise, I think sky is the limit.
yeah.
I think stock wise, it definitely needs
Just so the listener
big
knows,
hug.
we're being really
top
vague
secret.
on everything.
Top secret.
You will get subtle hints through the next several episodes.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to blow this one out and give it away right now. Why? Well, just because we feel like it. Yeah, there's really no other reason.
Actually, I had a reason why I wanted him to keep it quiet.
Oh, yeah, because I normally have a big mouth.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't want anybody to see it until it rolls out of the trailer, and I want to see people go, oh, shit.
oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
You know how we should really reveal it since I have an enclosed trailer? We should
Yeah,
have
at the track.
No, at the track, but like Back to the Future style. So when the ramp comes down, we have the fog machine going.
No.
Come on.
Oh, I like it. I think that's amazing. I think that'd be
People-
fun. That would be so cool.
It would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
It would throw so many people off to be like, excuse me, what? But that's so grand.
Yeah, exactly. That's so grand. That's so perfect.
All right, I'm looking
Bunch
into
of
fog
disco
machines.
lights going and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. I used to have one of those. I have no idea where it's at though. So
But the one thing is that concerns me, without going too much into it, is the engine. I think it's a good block to start with. I think where we should go with it first is suspension, brakes, build safety up first. Just in general, that should be the first what we do.
Yep.
Engine, get it running, and see what just horsepower we could make out of the engine stock without throwing a lot of money onto it.
Yep.
And then from there, see if it's worth throwing a lot of money or engine swapping it.
No, yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like you said, just getting the brakes, because I have no idea what's even working in there right now. I mean, maybe they work.
Yeah.
Sure. I think they're intact.
I saw no leaks on the bottom, so
Right.
like no puddles.
Right.
But it was also dark, so
I haven't seen any either, just at the couple of times I've moved it.
yeah.
But lighten it up, get rid of everything that is not necessary.
Yeah. That's the thing is this will be, so I went to school for high performance, automotive, and went to also school for trying to do engineering for car design. So when I build cars, I try to make them look as factory as possible, what they came from the factory. This is the first time to be like,
Not
okay,
this one.
we're going to build a car,
Yeah.
and all the rules are gone.
Yeah.
I got to make this just for speed and just for racing.
Yep.
And this will be when we're going to go and take names.
Yeah. Anything that's not necessary needs to be deleted. For
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. No, it'll be fun. Fun project. Fun to
Should I give
see how it comes around.
Should I give the first hint
No.
on it?
No.
About the,
Not yet.
Nope.
No.
Okay,
not
nothing?
yet.
Okay.
I wouldn't give any hints.
Okay. Didn't know if I want to give anything.
I can tell you the exhaust has been cut with probably a Sawzall.
Okay.
That was frustrating to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't know how I'm going to feel about is we've got to get an exhaust for it that's within a certain decibel, because a lot of racetracks
Right.
won't let you have it go open.
Yeah, you got to be typically under 103.
Yeah, for big tracks, and then
Yep.
for autocross, it's I think 92 typically.
It depends on your location.
Yeah.
Like where we normally drive, it's not.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But if you go to Packwood, it's 92 BCA.
92 is low.
It's either
I think
92 or
that's
95. No, I think it's 92.
That's an SCCA rule.
Yeah, but a
probably.
lot of
Yeah.
local clubs in the city have been adopting that.
Well, I know PIR has that decibel limit also.
Yeah.
103 at PM.
Yeah, and I know they sent a couple dudes home.
Yeah.
That'll happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you can field modify it to quiet it down.
Yeah.
They'll send you out.
Yeah.
I'm not super concerned about that. We can get it quiet enough, even if we just turn the exhaust down, so
That's true.
you're hitting the ground instead of straight out the back.
That's true.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, then it'll be like Speed Racer boost jumpers.
There you go. Yep. Jumping off the speed bumps.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, not supposed to be running speed bumps.
Nah, I mean, the other good thing is if you're putting the exhaust down as soon as you gas it, I mean, that's the best way to drift because it lifts the ass end up and then pushes rear tires.
You're asking an awful lot out of that exhaust. Turbo boosters there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess that's as updated as we have. I was just curious, really, what your initial thoughts on the
I'm
first
excited.
glance. Yeah.
I'm super excited.
No, it'll be fun. Just got to make space.
Yeah, gotta get rid of the Lambo.
Yeah. We might, well, it can sit where it's at for, like I told you, it can sit there all summer. I don't care.
Okay.
My neighbors probably don't care either. They can't see it much unless they're on the road.
I can go to a side tangent. I was actually surprised because we were uploading photos of projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the Fiat I haven't touched in, I think, a year or so, maybe even two, because the Lambo's been priority since I got that.
Yeah.
And I was surprised how far I've been on the Fiat, how far that is to completion.
You're looking through the photos?
Yeah, I honestly think, like, side-by-side comparison, probably the Fiat and the Lambo are pretty damn close. If not, the Fiat's closer.
Yeah, I
But
think you're probably further on the Fiat, honestly.
Yeah, but the Lambo, it needs body work, and body work takes forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, especially that type
Yeah.
of body work.
Yeah.
Because what you said, it's held on by
Fiberglass and wood.
Yeah. That's a little rough. For the listeners, and it's official, we have more than one, so we can say listeners.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hello there, everyone.
Yeah. I did start posting some of your project. You know, I
Five of
posted
those
up
were me.
The Fiat. The 5 of those listeners.
Five
were
of
you?
those are me.
Damn.
Let's see, 5 were Jeremy, then Rob listened once. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, it's not. I listened to episode 3 once.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did start posting up on our Instagram at Untitled Car Project.
Yeah.
Grant's project. I got the pre-paint photos up of the Fiat.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a few more I'll post in there, and I want to get the Lambo posted up too.
Yep. I think I forgot one of the photos has both my Fiats in that.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was weird seeing back to back, and I was like, ooh. And then
So the photo of the green one, is that just for reference?
I believe, yeah.
Okay.
So I've got, and I think any that are completed yellow that I sent you are also what the goal is for the Fiat to look like.
I didn't
I'm not sure if I have any.
notice those. I noticed the Fiat
The green one,
during paint of
Yeah.
yellow.
Yeah.
And it looks fantastic.
thank you. Did you know that was painted using air brakes off a truck?
Really?
Yeah.
And that was your compressor?
We had, at the time, I was paying someone to paint my Fiat.
Mm-hmm.
They were using my shop at the time. I didn't have a compressor big enough. Their shop, they were transporting their compressor from one shop to another, and it was rear-ended in a trailer accident.
Oh,
So it was 6 months. They still had nothing. They're like, what are we going to do? You know, and I'm like, I want to get this done soon. He's like, well, we need high-capacity air. We need to have it So it's clean air. It's got to have no air in it whatsoever.
No water.
No water whatsoever.
Yep.
And we've got to have, and volume, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah, volume.
And he's like, what do you want to do? It's not, I mean, we don't have anything here we can do. And I said, it has to meet all three of those requirements. He goes, yeah. I said, we got a brand new F750 sitting outside with air brakes with 0 miles. And he goes, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, we're going to shoot this using that. And I go, because it's got to build air up. If it's on the highway, it's got to keep the air pressure up, right? And it's got to keep water out of the system. So it's probably the best damn water system we'll have. So, okay, so we put outside, and we found every 15 minutes we'd have to go out there and just rev the pedal. Otherwise, the diesel would shut off.
Oh, yeah.
And we painted that thing, and it literally turned out perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ingenuity, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You do what
That's
you
how
got to do.
Yeah, that's how you do it in the backyard.
Exactly.
Or when you're on the trail or out at the track. I mean, your toolkit isn't as...
Oh, the segue. Wow.
That was not planned, by the way.
Well done. That was my next topic, actually. Garage tool setup.
Yeah.
For
Like
the-
I said,
for the-
it's totally different, right?
Well, it is. And there's...
We'll talk
I
about
wanted
the
to
other
break
things.
that out
Yeah.
into, different areas. So you've got the beginning mechanic, the guy's working out of his 2 or 3 car garage.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's in a garage and not laying out in the driveway, but it happens, right?
Yeah. Or
the setup you need there versus the setup that you've got once you've graduated into a shop area, or what is the setup you take to the track? And is it the same set of tools, right? Which is a pain in the ass, but it happens.
Yeah.
Grant, you've been at it a long time. I'll bet your tool setup is pretty extensive.
To a point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone from a couple wrenches and a very small toolbox to, at this point, technically 3 toolboxes, 4 toolboxes, something like that. And I don't know how many spaces full of, yeah. I mean, my shop is pretty extensive, full of tools, everything but a lift, surprisingly, and yet I still
That
get.
does surprise me.
I don't have a lift, and yet I still get done with, excavators and F750s and 650s and sports cars or whatever, because you gotta do what you gotta do. Whoa, hang on, we have a dog barking. Why are you barking? Shh. So, shh, Gracie. So, got to distract her with the toy.
There you go.
She's just saying hi.
She de-stuffed it.
Yeah. Oh, she's found a squirrel outside, I think.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
How do you not have a lift?
It's been discussed multiple times.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for a year and a half.
Yeah. It's mainly because it comes down to the business. This is not my business. And
True. Is there room in there if you were to put one in?
Oh, yeah.
Then
I've got a 2, well, technically 3, 4, 5. How many bays is in my shop, Jeremy?
You have
you have to ask somebody else.
one drive-through bay.
Yeah.
You have one non-drive-through bay, and then there's probably at least one car width between the 2 bays and one car width to the left of the bay 1.
It's hard to describe because it's up like a shop, but it's not like a traditional shop.
So no, it is a traditional shop. It is a traditional diesel shop.
Yeah.
It is not a traditional
it's-
car shop.
It's not necessarily. It's your working shop.
Yeah.
It's for big rigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big thing is with having a lift of any sort in there, 2 things come by. The best one would be through the pull-through would be a big one. But then if having it through limits my ability to bring in big piece of equipment if I need to turn them or have them. That's one thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Hang on.
All right.
Gracie, you gotta stop. All right. Should I go put her in the other room?
That's probably a great idea.
We'll edit this.
Hang on. So where are we at? Jack stands.
We were talking
Lifts.
about
Lifts.
your
Car lift.
So
and-
a lift has been brought to the attention in the shop to have one for the sports cars, and that's been an option. But
Do you have someplace out of the way that you can put it so it's not in the way of the big trucks and the equipment that you need to move through there? And
that
kind
I
of
haven't
stuff?
figured out fully. I've got a couple of locations where it could go.
I
Yeah.
think you do.
Okay, Jeremy thinks I might have one.
Right where the Lambo's at. I think it'll go perfectly.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that would probably be the best spot.
Yeah.
The hardest part though is behind that section. I've got all my workbenches and stuff, and so lining that up perfect. You gotta make sure a car's lined up perfectly if going in that one.
Well, yeah, and you don't want to block your benches really from if you use them a lot, or
I think he's got room in there to move things around, and there's a couple things in there that I know need to probably go away.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
So
traditionally the way your shop is set up, it's got the pull-through bay for the tractors to pull through. Mm-hmm. And by tractors, I mean a semi-tractor.
Yep.
Minus the trailer. And then off to, if you're looking at the front bay door for the front side, bay 1, off to the left where you have the Lambo, that would be where you would build like your hydraulics and motors and all that stuff. All that would be set up for that. And then on the right side, you would have like the long-term project bay. And it would be more like some semi-trailer or tractor that you had to completely rebuild.
Yeah. So that might be a good spot for it.
Lifts are not that expensive too.
They're not
you can find a used one for less than $3,000. Well, right around $3,000.
Yeah. I should say. It ultimately comes down to the owner of the company, my old man, because he hems and haws. Yeah. So he's like, yes, one weekend. And I'm like, no. And then he'll be like, I don't understand why you don't have one yet. And I'll get ready. And I'm like, you know what? Nah.
You just need to get one and put it in.
Talk to your sister, not your dad.
And make it happen.
But in the meantime, though, I mean, the amount of stuff I'm able to get done with over there is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you do all that without a lift.
Yeah.
The amount of work that you do.
I've used, and there's photos of, with the Fiat, for example, to retrieve the engine out of the back, you're supposed to lift the car nearly vertically with a crane picker. And at the time, I don't believe we even had an engine picker, so I grabbed an old forklift and picked up the back end with that. Yeah. I've used backhoes for whatever. I've used excavators. I've used cranes. I've used other forklifts.
We used the forklift to pick the Lambo up that one day.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
The whole back end
We did. I forgot about that. That was sketch.
I mean, a forklift is a handy tool.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
So there's a lot of tools in my shop that I have that the average mechanic wouldn't have. But at the same time, I also have don't have tools that the average shop would have. So what I've got to constantly try to figure out what I could do with what I've got to the best of my advantage.
I think that you bring up a good point. I think that is pretty normal for everybody. Yeah. Every backyard mechanic, everybody that's working on their project car in their garage. What do I have that I can do this project with, because cost is an issue. Tools are expensive. I myself have always been like, if I need another tool, I'm going to go get it because 1, it's worth my time.
Yep.
2, then I have it
for
the next time or the next project, or how useful is it,
Exactly.
If I don't think that I'm going to use that tool very much, I'll buy a cheap one, a Harbor Freight something if I have to, as long as it gets the job done at least once.
Yep.
Right. If it's a tool that you get what you pay for, I'll buy the proper, more expensive version of whatever it is.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
So like my toolboxes, just to jump into that real fast. So I have a variety of tools. I'm not selective to one brand over the other.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I've got Snap-on wrenches. I've got Harbor Freight sockets. I've got gear wrenches. I've got, everything under the sun.
Yep.
There are things I picked one or the other for because sometimes the initial investment's high.
Agreed.
For example, I at an early point got invested into Snap-on 14.4 smaller batteries into their system. Started getting with a bunch of their tools. And after like 4 tools deep, even though that was expensive, they proved to be, for me, very useful for what they did. But to hop off into like say Milwaukee or DeWalt or whatever, I'm already invested in one.
Yeah.
Might not go with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But when it came to the bigger battery thing, when I was going to go with an impact gun of some kind, running into, the Milwaukee was way better, having more options and having more torque than anything Snap-on would. And at an economy cost, I'm like, yes, this makes a lot more sense.
Right. Yeah, it's something you don't want to have to replace.
Yes.
Shortly down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really valid.
But at the same time, like also having things like my torque wrenches, those are Snap-on.
Yeah.
Like, because I want to have the best of the best, because if I'm torquing something, I want to make sure it's not going to snap, not come loose.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's good. And I think for most backyard mechanics, I think they see it the same way. You have to work with the budget that you have. You can't go just buying tools willy-nilly if you don't have the budget for it. So, like you said, what do I have here that I can make this project work with? I can't tell you how many tools I have purpose built on my own.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of purpose-built tools.
Yep.
Just because someone's like, oh, you need this special tool and this. Like,
I hate freaking special tools.
Yeah.
One-time use deal is like, wait, I think I can build this.
Exactly.
So I'll do that. But I have the luxury of 3 different welders and cutting torches and band saws and that.
Exactly. And same. And that also takes time to even get to the skills to use those.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You develop that stuff over time.
Yeah. I will say it's nice that a lot of automotive shops like AutoZone, Napa.
Tool rental.
Exactly. And that is super helpful for people who can't afford that or have the space to even hold tools.
or don't have the space, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, especially for the one-off tools, if you've got to pull a rear end apart or an axle out, you need that one special tool in order to turn that bearing or, turn that inner nut.
Yeah.
So you're going to go buy one. Good luck finding it locally. So then you got to order it, and that takes extra time. So if you can go rent one, be done with it real quick, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and mostly those tool rentals are free. You just have to put a
deposit
down. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever rented a tool.
Oh, really? Yeah. If you go to AutoZone, their program's all free.
Yeah.
You just have to put down the initial cost of their tool, and then when you come back with the tool and your receipt, they give you that deposit back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's
really good.
I'd say the amount of tools, like just say, I think it's AutoZone or Riley. I can't remember what the last one I went to, but it's like 50 different tools they've got of different things, like fan belts to bearing sets to power steering pulley installers and remover tools.
Oh, yeah.
So it's fairly nice.
Yeah. No, that's a good option.
Probably have a bearing press too.
Yeah.
If I were to guess.
Oh, I went and bought that whole thing because I figured
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times are you going to need that? Pretty often. And it's
More
useful.
often than you think.
Yeah, it's useful for a lot of different options.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things, in my opinion, is like, well, I need to do this. It's a good option or a good time to go buy another tool because I like them. But
I like them.
Because I like them. Nothing better than a good tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where have you heard that before? Anyway.
I got to know from you guys. So for me, growing up, I worked on a lot of European cars, Volkswagens, and Ferraris, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I'm mostly focused on metric, and that's a lot of my tools are metric. In fact, going more towards the heavy equipment, I started having to focus more on SAE. I would say I don't have as much SAE, as I would metric. But I was gonna say, what about you guys? How was that growing up?
I have a pretty decent split.
Yeah.
Because I grew up racing motorcycles and all of that stuff is metric. So I have probably more metric than I do SAE. And when in my personal trade, elevator business, everything's SAE. So, I have a pretty good selection of both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of mine are split right down the middle, right up until you get to the big shit.
Yeah.
So I have a 1-inch drive ratchet that I have sockets for that go up to like 3 1/4. So I don't have anything nearly that big in metric, but everything else, all the standard sizes are both.
Yeah.
So
I think the largest socket I have metric is like a 32 or a 33 millimeter.
Mine's a
that sounds about
38 millimeter. I think it's the biggest Well, no, that's for standard half-inch socket. I guess my biggest one I think is a 52 millimeter or something like that. Yeah, and then the biggest socket
That's
I forgot
right.
is
We
like
measure in
3-inch.
millimeters.
Yeah.
Okay, so your shop is probably better set up than most.
Yeah.
How much of that do you take to the races with you? And
So
you don't leave it in your car trailer. I know you clean your car trailer out
I
every
clean
time.
every time, and trust me, that gets old really fast having
Yep.
to bring everything.
Yep.
And I learned that the first race I learned that hard because I brought pretty much all my tools.
Yeah.
And that was, put them all in there, get ready to go, take off, and then find out I didn't need any of them on the first race I ever did.
Yeah.
And had to spend a day and a half putting everything else away. So going from there, it can be reduced from, let's say, 3 or 4 totes down to roughly like one tote. Okay. So now typically I'll bring an impact gun, a torque wrench, whatever sockets I need for my wheels, and a basic Harbor Freight like toolkit just for whatever. Because if my car breaks, I'll figure out how to get it working with just that.
Yeah.
If not, I know someone else may have some tools I could borrow to get it done.
Well, that's very true. In our scenario, there's everybody brings a little bit of tools, right? So
Correct.
if you need something, you can walk around the pit and say, hey, I'm looking for this.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't even bring a car, and I have a small tool bag.
Yeah.
That I bring.
Yeah.
You know, it's standard and metric wrench set, socket set, deep sockets, couple of ratchets, screwdrivers, that kind of stuff.
What do you bring that in? What kind of is it just like your standard carry along toolbox?
It's like a Craftsman, and I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. It's a Craftsman top load open toolbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Cloth sides.
So
But
I will say I love that thing, by the way.
I will say real fast, because even though I have a trailer and stuff, just to interrupt Rob, one thing about me that's different, like Jeremy doesn't bring a car, brings a bag though. Me, I've got a trailer, but I don't have any spots dedicated in my trailer for tools. That's why everything's brought.
Yeah.
And I was going to go and let you go into yours now, Rob.
Yeah, I've got a actually pretty good garage setup. I've been building a tools kit, since I was a teenager, just because of working on motorcycles and off-road cars. And then eventually, you get into your own vehicles, and I'm a tinkerer, so I want to work on them and that kind of stuff. So everything, when I was growing up, we had a shop. Obviously I've lived with my parents, so it's my dad's place, but we had a shop, place to work and that kind of stuff. But you get out on your own and take that stuff with you, and you've got a little garage to work in. If you're lucky, all of us go through the apartment phases and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so you thin out because you just can't drag that shit around with you all the time. Mm-mm. But yeah, over time, I've just built up a pretty decent tool kit. Went from one rolling 6 foot tall toolbox to two, and then a couple of benchtop toolboxes. And I think I have 4 of them, something like that. And now I've got a decent sized shop with 2 lifts in it, and it's pretty full of crap right now. Yeah. But that comes and goes in phases. And really, I've got, for my trailer setup, I'm on my second car trailer now, but I moved the built-in toolbox into there, so the tools that go with me just stay in the trailer. I don't want to have to move them back and forth and that kind of stuff.
And that's my goal for the next one, is trying to get my trailer set up so I can just leave when I need there. Yeah. Because there's not every time there's sometimes I will need more than just an impact and a basic tool set. Yeah. But putting some money aside and having a dedicated good set of tools just for the track. Yep. Because that way, instead of bringing the car home, losing a weekend, I can wrench on it right there, have it done by the end of the night, go the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you got to wrench and get that car ready for the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you break something. I throw a tote in with power tools. That's one thing I don't have in both places, is the
power tools.
But that's really it as far as tools that I transfer back and forth. I just leave them all in the trailer. It's super handy, super nice.
My next set I'm getting ready to invest in is going to be the Milwaukee, was it the 7.4, the small battery ones.
Oh, yeah.
I just started to like their tools. I started getting their sweaters and their jackets, and those all came with batteries. Next thing I knew, I'm already up to 6 batteries. I'm like, well, if I got 6 batteries and I already got the chargers for them, I might as well start investing in some of the tools, because they're not super expensive, especially when it comes around holidays with those kits. You can get like a good starter set for $500, and it gives you 5 different tools, impact, wrench.
Why wouldn't you go with 18 volt?
As I already have 18 volt. But I'm saying is like for a second set of the small ones, because I've already got the 14.4 from Snap-on.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. The tools that I take with me is just real basic wrenches, sockets, impact and that kind of stuff for changing wheels. If I break something that needs more than that, probably not finishing the weekend. Yeah. Realistically. But I can do everything I need to. If I need to do suspension adjustments or this, that, the other thing, I've got a decent enough setup to make it work. So, and that's kind of the way I view it too. If you break something severe enough that you need your big tools or your lift, you're done for the weekend.
Yep, exactly.
Pack her up and go home.
I think probably the most common fix of the track, I would say, is anything to do with zip tie or tie wire.
I'm trying to think if I have any tire wire.
I know I've got some really good to have around.
I know I have some zip ties and some duct tape.
Yeah. Because there's times like you use a zip tie and it won't last onto it, but having a tie wire is a little bit stronger and you can twist it and whatever, it saved my bum so many times.
Sure. No, that's a good thought. Might have to throw some in or make sure I have some.
Yes, go to Home Depot, grab just a spool of $10.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for beginning car project mechanic? What kind of tool setup? Not brand necessarily, but what's the basics?
A hammer. That's I mean, as ridiculous as it sounds.
Oh yeah, I got a few of those.
I mean, I've just for clarification, I've done, I've been sent to job sites where I've been given 2 crescent wrenches, a rock, a welding rod, and then and a knife, and I was able to get projects done with that. So like that's the thing is you can turn anything into a toolbox, but I think realistically, if you're starting out, we need, I think realistically, a decent hammer. I'm not saying claw hammer. I'm saying like a ball peen hammer.
Ball peener.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Not or a sledge.
So I think you need a 3-pound
sledge.
3
pound sledge. Yeah. I think a crescent wrench, a small and a big one, and you never really want to use. You want to always try to go the right wrench, but I think a crescent wrench is a must-have. Just because if you grab it, something easy to go.
So if you're telling somebody to go and like some 14-year-old kid is trying to like get his first tool set.
Yeah, that's more what I was talking about. What's your first tool setup?
I think you're going to tell them you need a 1/4 inch and 3/8 drive ratchets. You need the sockets that go up to 3/4 inch and the metric equivalents.
Yeah, got to go to probably at least a 21.
Yeah,
and then you need the open end box wrench in both SAE and metric.
Yep.
I do agree with the ball peen hammer. A couple different kinds of pliers, needle nose and stuff like that, and
wire
snap ring pliers, wire strippers.
Yeah.
A pair of channel locks.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. And some extensions.
Yep, for your ratchets. Definitely.
There's one other thing I would say is a must for any mechanic is a multimeter. You can get so much done with a multimeter.
I don't think you need
but
that
for your
right
basic
away.
your basic guy, no.
Yeah.
You can get away with a testing tool, a test light.
Yeah. That's true.
Just fine, so you know if you have power or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm talking more like Jeremy's saying,
Some
teenager
14-year-old kid.
A teenager is going to work on his first car, maybe, right?
Yeah.
What's the basics that you need? So I think he
pretty nailed that on there. Yeah, and I would recommend, if especially in this day and age on cars, unless you're working anything pre like early 70s, stick with metric because in the 90s
most everything's metric.
Yeah, I think it was late 80s, 90s when all the big American companies went metric. Japanese Europe has always been metric.
Yep.
I think on the rare occasion I find Chevys with some SAE stuff and they're pretty big. They're like a 1 inch or 7/8 or something like that. That's the off case, but that's when you get that one special tool for that.
Sure.
That's usually the harmonic balance bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and then you need a 5-foot extension to break it loose. So
yeah,
if you're
and
lucky,
the special tool to hold the flywheel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So no, I think Jeremy hit it right on the head. But like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 3/8 ratchet set.
Is a must. 1/2 inch would be an add-on. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do most with 3/8 at least, 1/4 and 3/8.
Some of the
1/2 inch,
stuff.
I agree though. You do need it for the heavier if you're getting into suspension stuff and like that.
If you're taking the wheels off, you need a 1/2 inch.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you?
You don't need, but yes, you should have.
Yeah.
I use a star wrench, like the breaker star.
Well, you're not. Yeah, all right.
Removing mine, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
The beginning mechanic can get away with that for a while, but you're going to get tired of it.
Yeah. What about
Besides, you need to torque those down. You should.
Yeah.
What about screwdriver sets? I feel like that's the mechanic either has a mixture of everything. Like,
Well, and anymore, you need a square drive and a Torx. And shoot, you can find Torx stuff in larger sizes. You're going to need
several sizes.
That's a little bit irritating.
yeah. Well, Torx, I typically go with. I typically very rarely use Torx out of a socket. You know, because throwing a ratchet on it and being able to crank it loose is so much easier than having a handle, because you can't get the same torque out of your hand versus pushing it with
for sure.
leverage.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting away from the beginner mechanic stuff, but shoot, I'll put that on an impact gun if I can.
Yep.
If I can reach them all, I'm going to zip those things out with an impact.
What would you guys say a beginning mechanic should have that is just kind of unconventional to use?
A beginning mechanic that's unconventional. Brake spreader tool.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
That is good. Yeah, if you're doing brakes at all, that is super handy. Yeah, and maybe a bleeder.
Yep.
You can get a cheap one that actually does work pretty good. That Harbor Freight version bleeder.
Yeah.
Need an air compressor with it though.
Yeah.
And get yourself a good floor jack. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be expensive, but a 1.5 ton will do most cars.
I have a shit floor jack right now, and I want to throw it in the garbage every time I look at it.
Throw it in the garbage. They're not expensive.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, like, the one I have from mine's a Harbor Freight one, the low profile, long reach one.
Oh, I have that one.
Yeah, that is the best.
That's actually a really
best one
nice
I've ever had.
It's a Pittsburgh or something like that. Yeah, I have that one.
It's so good.
Yep, I use that one a lot.
It's
a 3-ton.
Yeah.
Thing works good.
Jack stands though, you want to be really picky on.
Get quality.
I mean, like I've got Harbor Freight jack stands, but I made sure to make sure the ones that were recalled were out and always inspect them before I've used them, like which ones I bought, you know, because you don't want to get into that.
Yeah, if you're going to be crawling under the car, make sure that thing is well supported.
Yeah.
Even if you're getting wood blocks, I would trust wood blocks over a Harbor Freight jack stand.
Yeah.
But
it
you can
depends.
go to Napa, go to someplace like that carries actually quality jack stands. They're not super expensive. It's worth your life.
Yep.
You know,
The
buy
heavy
good
duty
ones.
jack stands from Harbor Freight, I do think are
okay.
pretty good quality.
Reinforce that shit though. I mean,
Yeah.
put something else under there as well.
Yeah.
So if the car does move at all, you're going to be safe.
I was going to say for circling back to unconventional things a beginning mechanic might use or should have.
Yeah.
I think like a 2-inch ratchet strap, like a thick ratchet strap. You can do a lot with that. There's times you need to spread, a piece of metal and put it between something and pull it tight, or sometimes you need to lock a car down, or they just become more useful in really random situations that you can think of. Lowering something down, possibly. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but
Right, but you could.
Yeah.
Actually, when you said that, I was thinking about using a ratchet strap for automotive stuff. And the last time I put the clutch in, actually I did it twice by myself in the Corvette, and I was doing it off of my short lift.
Yeah.
So my short lift only lifts the car 4 feet off the ground at the bottom. But I've got some incline creepers. They're actually really handy for, that was in just a standard 3-car garage, put that lift in. Works great. Would recommend to anybody that has a regular garage.
Okay.
Get a max jack. Those things are awesome. But I did two or three clutches underneath or on that lift in just standard garage. But putting it back together by yourself, anybody that's done a Corvette clutch knows that you got to pull the whole rear end of the car out and then put it back in. And so it's typically more than a 2-person job.
yeah, you don't have 8 arms.
Right. So you need to be pushing on that thing and aligning everything. And anyway, I used a ratchet strap to pull it into place as I was under the car, aligning things, and I could put some tension on it and get it aligned. And
More tension, get the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Worked pretty good.
Yeah. It's surprising how well, how much a ratchet strap can actually become the most valuable tool in some regards.
Well, especially you're doing stuff by yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
you really have to be kind of ingenuity. You got to pull together some ideas, and it's like, how am I going to do this? I've only got 2 hands here. I can't push on this and align at the same time. I need to figure something out. So
It can also save your knuckles.
Yeah.
yeah,
that
really.
too.
Yeah, really.
And also while especially if you're doing it by yourself, not only do you want to do that, but you also want to do it in a safe manner.
Exactly.
You never want to, if you're by yourself, do not rush. Do not make anything that's like, I'll cut corners on this, because
Yeah.
you were by yourself.
Yep.
They will the next person to find you in there, if you start on a Friday on a project and you're in a shop by yourself, they probably won't find you till Monday if something happens.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm almost sketched out climbing under a car that's lifted.
Yeah.
If nobody else is around. I mean, I will do it, but
Yeah. No,
you know.
I make sure all of my block ups are in place, and I have special stands made for the short lift, and I have the tall stands for the tall lift, and I always put that stuff in place. When I pick the car, you do a test pick.
Yeah.
You push on it, you rock it,
Do
make
your
sure
bump
it's
test.
balanced. Yep. And then once I get into working height, I put the stands underneath it because shit happens, man.
Yeah.
I want at least to have a few seconds to try to get out of the way.
oh yeah.
I try to keep my phone near me if I'm underneath a car by myself.
I hadn't really thought about that.
That
but
I
yeah.
mean, like, because you'll be listening to music or whatever, especially
Yep.
if you're listening to music in the shop.
Yep.
That's the worst because then no one's going to hear you, especially if you're screaming because you
Yeah.
got music playing.
Yeah, nobody's
the-
going to hear me anyway.
No.
There's nobody around.
Exactly.
The nice thing about like Google and Siri and stuff like that, at least you can
You
yell.
could talk to it.
Yeah.
Hey,
True.
call whoever,
Call.
or
Yeah.
Siri, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially, well, the other thing is, think about this. If you're being crushed by a car, sometimes you can't yell.
You can't breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have it within an arm reach or hand reach, even if you have to kind of squirm for it, you can kind of click and get something.
Yep.
That just gives better notice than where you're at right then.
So be safe out there, all you mechanics, whether you're seasoned or not. Don't cut corners. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
I don't
really
know
good.
how many times after I've lifted my car, I've like all but kicked the thing to see if it was going to fall over.
Yeah.
I
So
will,
so let's move to you, Jeremy. What's
Yeah.
in your toolkit, your garage?
So, I've been building it for a long time. Basic tool mechanic set, just like we had talked about, right? I have 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, and a 1 inch drive ratchet. I've got big sockets for some reason. I love deep sockets. I've got
I
two
use
sets
deep.
of deep sockets.
I use deep well over anything as long as
Yeah.
it will fit.
yeah.
If it'll fit, I go to those first.
Yep.
Because 9 times out of 10, the threads are too long to get the short socket over, right?
And on top of that, how many times do you have it where you're getting that one bolt out with that socket and you need to move the next one?
Oh yeah.
And then it ends up being a deep
and your
Yeah.
first nut is still stuck in the socket, I've got a ton of those. Lots of extensions, and you get the short ones, the medium length ones, and like the 12-inch long ones. Don't skimp on those.
And just so everybody knows, he held his fingers apart to say 12-inch.
I've been lying to my wife a while. Okay. Let's see what else. I do have long Torx sockets, so I can put them on the ratchet or the my drill. I actually have a lot of electronic stuff. Surprisingly.
Oh, I will bet you do, just because of the industry that
Yeah.
you're in. Yeah.
So-
Troubleshooting electrics is next time I have an electrical problem, I'm calling you.
Yeah, I have, and actually, I want to buy more electrical stuff. So, like, I don't have a extensive crimper set yet, but I'm looking at like multiple different crimpers and stuff like that. And if you've ever looked into electronics crimpers,
They get expensive.
they're
They get
expensive.
very expensive.
The one that I really want has multiple dies, and it's like $235 or something like that. But it's a really good handle, and the dies are really, really solid. So they'll do all different kinds of pins, heat gun, stuff like that. I have a good soldering iron.
No lift.
No lift.
Yeah.
No lift. And actually, I have 3 different toolboxes. I've got my rolling with the center and then the stack.
Yep.
That's all my mechanic stuff. I've got another rolling toolbox that has all like woodworking stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have my good sized handheld one that has all my electronic stuff in it.
Nice.
And I've got like resistors and capacitors and all that stuff in there that are loose. I have thousands of them in that kit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I would say, I mean, we've kind of outlined what a basic tool set would be. But I'd like to ask the listeners that, if you've got some ideas of what you think a basic, something else, a basic tool set for automotive, working on cars, kind of stuff, let us know.
Do you think there's any brands that you'd recommend for a beginner mechanic to stay away from?
To stay away from?
I got a few I could think of.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the cheapest brand I can think of would be your Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh, whatever. And honestly, they have a lifetime warranty on them. So the sockets themselves, they're fine. I have a set or two of those. Most of mine are Husky or Craftsman, but I do have some of those. Their ratchets can tend to fail, but you can take it back and get another one. It's a hassle, but you can.
My primary ratchet I've had on both my 1/4 inch and my 3/8, even though I do have snap-on ones too, are Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
And I've been using the same ratchets for probably 7-8 years on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Most
of mine are my ratchets are Huskies.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of the Harbor Freight ones that have held up pretty decently.
Yeah.
I had some of their extensions with the locking ends, and I might as well throw those away because they've failed. I did find, because I was looking for another extension because I had those that locked up and failed, and I was just like, I need like a 4-inch extension, right? And I was in Home Depot and I was like, I need that. So I went by and looked, had a set of 1/2 inch, like 3 of them. I was going to get these, it's like $32 or something like that. They happen to have a set of 12 different size extensions, 3/8 and 1/2 inch for $25 on clearance. I was like, oh, damn.
You say there was 12 in that set?
Yeah, there was like 12 in
Damn.
that set. I know. So I stocked up. I just got lucky. Found something on sale.
Nice.
Anyway, beside the point. But what
was I thinking?
What brand? Yeah.
I was thinking for a beginner mechanic or beginner enthusiast of any kind, don't jump into Snap-on first.
Or
Oh,
Mac.
God, no. You can't afford that.
Well, there's people who they think that's what you need to do, have the best tools. Especially
you don't need to do that.
Someone comes to my shop, they see a Snap-on toolbox. And I'll tell you this, I think Snap-on does make some of the best toolboxes. Do I think they're $18,000 plus? No. I think buying a used one like mine, I paid $2.5 grand for my big box with the extensions and stuff. I think it's well worth that. And I don't think there's a box. There are boxes that do similar things, but it's kind of like comparing a GTR Nissan to a Lamborghini Aventador. I mean, the GTR will beat it in so many ways, but the Aventador, has just a little bit more of this and that's here.
Yeah.
And that's just what it feels like with the Snap-on one. It everything on, like when you open the door.
It's quality. It's high quality.
Exactly.
It just is.
But and I've got.
But do you need that? No, you do not.
Not to start out. And same with all my impact guns. You don't need Snap-on stuff. That's why I was like, I went with the Milwaukee, instead. And and my second set's gonna be Milwaukee.
Yeah.
That's why none of my sockets are Snap-on. So like that, I think the initial investment is something a beginner should stay away from. Same with Mac. I haven't been on a Mac truck yet, but I would assume they would be the same.
They're
would
just
so.
as
Well,
expensive.
yeah.
I think
When-
the toolbox.
When you
are
asked the
more.
question, I assumed you meant low end.
I meant both. Yeah. Just what should
that's fine.
they stay away from?
Yeah.
And I think that's a valid point. Like, get into, if you're going to buy Snap-on or Mac at some point, do that when you have an economic means and you understand why you're buying that and the purpose you're buying for that.
Yeah.
Don't buy it if you're like, I need to buy $1,000 tool and be like, I'm only using it once.
Right.
If it's once, it better be for a job that you need that. There's nothing else that will do that job.
Agreed.
You're definitely going to spend 10x more buying the basic mechanic set from one of those two companies than you will at Harbor Freight or, with the Husky tools or Craftsman or any of those.
Yeah,
Like-
to be clear, I would not, as a beginner set, Harbor Freight, okay, fine. But I would not have that as my
It's your primary.
primary set. No, I would not.
Their Icon is getting fairly good, though. I will say that.
Okay.
Because Harbor Freight's Icon is actually getting to, they say, professional brand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it up there, but I'd put it up there with like where
I think it's
probably
what
current Craftsman is.
Yeah.
Not old Craftsman, current Craftsman, and maybe Gear Inch too. And I think it's pretty a fair assessment on that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but
It's
you're
probably
also,
made in the same factory.
Yeah, but you're also with the Icons. You're paying, like some of their tool sets are like say for wrenches, it's like $200 and something bucks. And that's what we expect. If you're paying for, a little bit more quality, you expect to pay for that,
Yeah.
The other tool brand I would also recommend for a beginner to stay away from, and I uses the big ass star next to it, is Matco tools. Because what I've learned from the internet is anything Matco doesn't sell their own stuff. They take things, rebrand them, and sell them as Matco. So like anything that...
Okay, you hit on something there, though. You said, what I learned from the internet, so take that for what it is.
True. But like what I mean is I've seen like videos of like, here's this tool, here's the part number, let me show you the of Matco and show you the same thing, just the different color or whatever.
Okay, if you work for Matco out there and you can prove us wrong, please let us know.
Yeah, no, it'd be very interesting.
UntitledCarProject@gmail.com.
There you go. Actually, we should get a
And
Matco.
we'll have you on.
It'd be interesting to have Matco tool represent. But from what it's been, discussed on the internet, from what I'm seeing on forums and stuff, and Instagram videos and YouTube shorts,
Sure,
is that a lot of those tools you can find elsewhere, and they're significantly cheaper.
There's a lot of companies
That do that.
that build something and it gets branded multiple different ways, right?
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, look at the
most
Supra.
of the stuff out there. Yeah, the the Supra. But
the
BM, I don't
86.
even know how to call it anymore. Is it a Z4 Supra? What?
Well, look at the Toyota 86, right? Mm-hmm. It's basically the
Subaru.
same thing as the Subaru.
Well, they're
I
built
think
in the
it's got
same
a
factory.
the same pancake motor in them, right? The opposing four.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. We built that or beat that subject to death. I want a KLR650 update.
Yeah. So I know we all did research on this.
Yeah, I actually
A little bit.
I was asleep last night watching the video again.
So I was
Nice.
actually this morning. I was looking at the research I did again, and this is an interesting motorcycle.
Can we real fast, so the listener, especially if someone's new
Yes.
jumping in,
Yep.
explain what the KL650R
Okay,
is.
yeah, I was going to do that. So the it's the KLR, right?
Yes.
650.
Yep.
So it's started out as a gas Kawasaki.
Do they still make the gas version?
Yes.
I thought so.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can still get it. It looks slightly different than the late 80s. I think 87 was the first year the diesel one was built, but looks different now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've updated it and stuff like that. It is a staple, I would say, for the dual sport lineup.
Okay.
Yeah, the gas version.
Yeah,
yeah,
the gas
for
version.
sure.
So that started as a gas version. Kawasaki did not actually build the diesel motor for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they farmed it out to a different company, and I don't think it was them that farmed it out. I think the U.S. military actually farmed that out.
If you tell me it's a Cummins motor in there, I
It's
swear.
not. No. God, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but
Isuzu
no.
International.
No, it
That's
is
a
not
Detroit
it is not a
Nothing like
name
that.
you will
No.
recognize. It is a small business. The dude basically took the KLR 650 motor and transmission and left the transmission, but completely ripped the top end off of it and redesigned the top end and all of that so that it could run
Interesting.
PJ8 or diesel.
Yep.
Is
Describe what
is it-
PJ8 is.
PJ8 is military jet fuel.
Okay.
Well, it's a combination
Yeah.
of diesel and jet fuel.
Yeah.
Which jet fuel is just kerosene, roughly.
Yeah, basically.
So it's the lower block is still the same as the gas, so it's still like air cooled?
No, the only thing the same
Okay.
is the transmission. So when you say lower block,
Yeah.
the crankshaft, yes, is still there.
Okay.
The
Stroke and
top
bore?
end, the stroke, I believe, is the same.
Okay.
The cylinder walls are different, and it is actually, from what I saw in the pictures, it was liquid cooled.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
it's also got a 6.5 gallon or 6 gallon fuel cell.
Yeah.
And they said at 55 miles an hour, it will do 96 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
Is that a lot on a bike?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Okay.
insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot MPG in general, but I mean, it's like,
Bikes are
Bikes
a
are
little bit better anyway.
Yeah, they do. I mean, anywhere from 30 to 50 on most street going motorcycles.
Yeah. I think most like liter bikes are right around the 35 mile per gallon range.
Of course, that's keeping your throttle opening under control.
Yeah.
But your average,
A couple other interesting facts: the diesel motor with the stock transmission. Obviously, they don't get up to speed as fast as the gas motor. But what it will do is its top end is like 97 miles an hour in fifth gear. Oh, wow. So it will scoot. It will not get there fast.
Yeah, it takes 15 minutes to get there, but it'll get there.
But, even at 90 miles an hour in the dirt, you're still getting over 70 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
So
it's a very heavy motorcycle. Did you happen to notice
I didn't see the weight.
Yeah.
I did see one for sale, though.
I saw one for sale also.
Sale. Yeah.
The one I saw was about $4,500.
The one I saw was 15,000.
Yeah.
And that had like
it was newer, wasn't it?
Yeah. I want to say it was like a 2002. I still think it was an older one, but it had like only 300 miles on it.
So the one I saw had low miles.
Yeah.
It was like a couple hundred miles. I think it was right at 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 2000.
Okay.
And I don't think I saw whether they still make them or not.
I got mixed reviews on that as well.
Yeah.
It seemed like I did see one, a 2023.
Maybe it's top secret. Government doesn't want to know they're still building.
Well,
maybe.
Since it is commissioned for the military, they do get out, but I don't think as in the public, you don't see newer ones, right?
Yeah.
Until the military's had a chance to wear it out, and then they
That's the other question. If the
sell
military,
them off.
if the military has them, isn't a lot of time like for example, their Humvees, they're not street legal. So how do you get a bike to be a dual sport and be street legal then?
So you can DMV that.
Yeah. So the requirements are headlight, brake light, blinkers.
Blinkers are actually not required.
It's
a nice
I think
feature.
it depends on the state.
That could be. Okay.
I know
fair.
Washington does. Oregon might not.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, and the tire. In Oregon, you can run a knobby dirt tire.
Yeah.
In
Washington,
Washington,
it has to be DOT approved.
Yes.
Though. Yeah.
In Washington, it has to be more of a rounded dirt tire.
Oh, really?
Still DOT approved.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different configurations for dirt tires that are street legal. Mm-hmm. Typically, the knobs are quite a bit bigger, more chunky.
Oh, yeah.
Allows you more surface area on the street for better pavement traction, especially in the wet. It can be gnarly.
Yeah, they do make legit dirt tires, and running those on the street, they wear out pretty fast.
Yeah,
I can believe that.
Yeah, they do.
God, I bet you that'd be a fun bike to have, though.
I did see on one of those videos where they were drag racing the diesel versus the gas version.
I think I saw that one too.
Yeah, and that diesel one it's slow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then I saw a different video because I thought it was like pretty side by side for a lot of them, but that was off, not on pavement.
Yeah, it was off in the dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, for what I'm used to, it's slow. For a motorcycle, it's slow.
Okay.
It does not have the get up and go. I mean, that's why they put turbos on the trucks, diesel motors, to actually give them some oomph. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day, my dad had like an early 80s Ford F-250 diesel with no turbo. Mm-hmm. And it could pull, but it takes a long time to get up to speed. It's just, slow.
Yeah. Jeremy, were you able to find out the reliability on that thing, though? Because that's the thing, is if it's military grade as well as a diesel, I mean, that feels like a recipe to just last forever kind of bike,
I did not see how long they would last.
I didn't see a mileage per se, but I did see that they are pretty durable, like you're saying, it's not something they want to work on all the time.
Yeah, because you got a bike. If it's in the military base or out east or like across the world or wherever it's going to be, you're not going to have parts for it, or it's got to be the same parts that every other mechanic on base has got to have.
Right.
And you got to have where if it's out in the field, you can fix it with a damn hammer and probably a screwdriver.
Yeah. Or just leave it there.
Yeah.
So HDT Diesel is the one that built the motor. It's Hayes Diversified Technologies.
Huh.
And the guy that designed its name is Fred Hayes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Something.
All right. Well, good. That's a pretty decent little update. I think it's an interesting bike.
Lastly, I wanted to
It's
ask.
worth a look.
I wanted to ask one more
online.
thing on the bike. One more thing.
Go ahead.
Because it looks like a heavy bike. We haven't found the weight on it.
Right.
Oh, it's heavy.
I gotta wonder, like, if you drop that bike, how ridiculous it would be to get it back up.
It is.
It's
That's
not
a valid
that
question because of center of gravity. Most street going motorcycles are pretty close to 400 pounds, right? But their center of gravity is lower, so it does make it easier to pick them up.
Yep.
But I would say it's probably only 250. I don't think even with the extra heavy motor castings and that kind of stuff, it's probably not too bad to pick it up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
you guys want to have one of those bikes?
No.
No. I'm yes. I would love to have one of those bikes.
Yeah. Just for the interesting factor.
I think the interesting factor.
Cool. It'd be cool to ride.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun to ride. I think I like dual sports because I like to. There's times I want to ride on the road and just top off and keep going.
Sure.
And I'm not used to like super fast bikes when riding dirt bike. I'm used to just more
Cruising.
of the well, not the cruising, but just the exploring. If I can get me to point A to point B and like going up hills and stuff, that's where I'm at. Not more about racing when it comes to dirt bikes.
Yeah. I guess I'd have to ride one to make that final decision because you make a valid point just for fire road riding or something like that. It might be
like a trail bike.
Kind of fun.
That's the most fun.
And the interesting factor, I guess, that it is a diesel.
And then the other thing is, especially if it's a diesel, especially if you're going trail riding, you just put diesel tanks in the back. No one's going to steal your diesel tank. They're looking for gas tanks to fill up their in the motorcycles.
That's true. Well, I mean, with a 6.5 gallon tank, though, you don't have to fill up very often.
Well, it's true.
I think the big reason the military wanted to go with PJ8 or
it's because
diesel.
everything they have runs on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring more
Everything.
containers. Don't have to go find it.
That's a big thing for them. Everything needs to be, be able to run on what they have already there. They can't be making special trips with, the bikes take, petrol instead
Take a
of diesel.
two-stroke and they need to mix the oil, put it in.
Right, yeah. No,
I
that's
would
not gonna
venture to
happen.
guess that the side-by-sides they run are also diesel.
They have side-by-sides?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they actually mount 50 cals to them and shit.
Well, I haven't seen that. We're going to
We
have to look that up.
We have to get
Yeah.
a picture of us on the military side-by-side and one of us on the 50 cal.
Yeah, I think they used to run sand rails and stuff like that too, but I think those were still gas-powered. I know the newer stuff, they're running side-by-sides.
It'd be interesting to see.
I have not seen that.
It'd be interesting to figure a list and figure out like what the military has that's
They're small vehicles.
that's like considered recreational in the public, but is actually used by military, like jet skis or side by sides.
Zodiacs.
Yeah, So
All right. Next topic.
all right,
As we get very close to our first event, what we are 2 weeks?
how ready are you for that?
This pertains. Brake pad performance and selection.
Okay.
So I'm changing out the pads, the rear pads in
Okay.
my car because I don't have enough bite in the rear of the car.
Okay.
What's your opinion or thought, or what do you run?
Go on Facebook Marketplace, find the best used pads you can. Make sure they have 330 seconds left on them, and just make sure you put them on. If they're squealing like no one's business, then you have the wrong rotors. Make sure they're really warped, or take a grinder to them first, and then you have the best setup.
And there you have it, folks. This is why Grant is so fast.
Our legal team is standing by.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, I like running hot pads.
Hawk.
Yeah.
Which Hawk pad do you have?
So with Liger, I've tend to run the 5.0s.
Okay.
And the reason is they're a combination of street, but also performance on that.
Yeah.
The next one up, I believe, is the HPS.
Yep.
And that HPS Plus, I think, and it's been tough.
HP Plus.
Yeah, and that's the pure track one, right?
Well, no, you can run that on street too. It's not as bad. It does squeal
Well,
a little bit more, from what I understand.
Yeah,
I don't.
But they advertise it as track ready
Sure.
or something like that. The
Yeah,
reason I haven't gone with those ones is just from reviews I've seen, because most people I talk to don't really run Hawks, I guess.
I run Hawk.
Oh, you run Hawk? Okay. But I didn't run the HPS because you have to get them hot before they actually become effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for a car that I also like to street, I don't want to have to just go warm up the car and jam on the brakes and be like, okay, we're
Sure.
going for a cruise now.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what I like about Hawk pads? You can look up on their website, and they have, for each compound, they have a graph. It tells you how hot it has to be, where your initial bite is per temperature.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How they fade once they get hot or overheated. Yeah, it's actually really cool.
I also like how Hawk's got, a wide variety of vehicles. I mean, we even found originally Hawk pads for Antonio's Economy 2013
Yeah, I think you can get
Ford
them
Focus.
for anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, they make some great. I mean, I'm not sponsored by, but would love to be. They make some great pads. I run the DTC 60s.
Okay.
Which are really an extreme pad, but they have immediate bite. Like, you really don't need to heat them up. They grab a little bit better once they are warm.
Do
But,
they wear out more fast because of that?
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They wear quick, and they're pretty aggressive on your rotors, but they work so good.
How often are you replacing pads then?
Well, I ran the DTC 60s on the front last year. I should be able to get easily another season, both big track and autocross, out of those.
Okay. So like about 2 seasons worth?
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what'd you run on the Super when you had that? Did you have stock or did you upgrade to your pads?
Bone ass stock.
Okay.
I have no idea what was on it.
Okay.
The only thing I know that was changed on that was the clutch that I made into cotton candy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. No,
I'll show you pictures.
Yeah. But Rob, you said fronts though, so does that mean on the backs you run different compounds?
I just received my 60s.
Okay.
I was running the Brembos that the car came with on the back, and they stop, sure, but you're not getting as much braking power out of the back of the car anyway, and I want more.
Yeah.
Thinking about going with a little bit less aggressive compound on the front so that I get a little more bite out of the back. I just want to balance it some. I haven't put in, the I'm sorry, what's the system called?
Purge valve? Brake valve?
Yeah.
Grinder?
Yeah, I haven't put the grinder in yet. No, just to balance the brakes. I don't know that I want to do
Some
that
sort
either.
of a pressure valve or something?
No, you can dial the front to the back, and I'm drawing a blank on what they call it. Anyway.
Not a pressure relief valve, not a master.
No.
I'm actually surprised because your Corvettes, do you have a custom brake line system in your Corvette?
It's not custom, no.
So,
but it's got Brembo, a big brake kit on it, front and rear.
I'm surprised because normally, like for example, with Liger, so like it splits the balance between front and back because I have ABS on my car, and so the computer automatically determines how much it needs to go through.
Yeah, you're not getting nearly the braking out of the back of that car that you could. You're actually gonna, what is it? 80% of your braking comes out of the front.
Yeah.
But you need some in the back. You need to be able to feel it. I'm never wearing brake pads out in the back of that car. So you can actually reduce your stopping distance by putting some more braking into the back of the car.
Okay.
Because we're not using enough of it. And the stock systems are set up that way. You're grinding away at the front and not using anything in the back.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm looking at that, trying to get a little bit more braking in the back.
What about for rotors?
So I got a question.
Oh, yes.
When you balance the brakes like that, when you're stopping on the road, right? The front end of that car tries to dive. Does it do the same thing when you balance the brakes better? Or does it like suck down, like the whole car sucks down?
Yeah, it doesn't dive as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you still get a little bit, right?
Sure.
Because it's inertia. But
And I guess you really kind of have to balance that as well, because when you slam on your brakes and you have a 80% in the front, right?
Yeah.
So the car dives, it lifts the back a little bit in that dive. If you're diving a lot, which Corvettes don't, you're de-weighting the rear, right? So you don't want to lock up necessarily. You don't want maybe that much bite, but I've also just recently put aero on. I'm going to have more pressure on the back anyway. So I'm just searching for balance.
Sometimes it's good. Like I used to have it. Well, it depends on the situation, but Liger, I can get her at the front end to dive pretty well, and knowing if it's going to do that means back end is going to be a little lighter,
right?
And that'll help me get around a lot of tight corners,
potentially,
or it could get me into some trouble and spin out. Right. But like how you set it up, like you can be like, okay, now the back end's going out. I know it's going to be diving. End's coming up. Might be a little bit easier to flow around the corner, but then if you're getting the gas, it means it's going to shift the weight back Just how it goes.
So if your car didn't get loose in the back, you'd probably look at some of those corners differently.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've adjusted so I can have it so it's either more or less dive with that sway bar, where it's either really stiff, and I've had it where she's 300% stiffness, which then helps it so that way when I'm around the corners, less flex and then less divey. Well, especially with the new suspension, less divey on that one. But then it's the opposite. If you go way softer, then you have like a lot more roll and flex with the body going through that. Yeah. And so like if we're doing a high speed course, I'll set it where it's stiff as can be because I don't need to have that dive. But if we're having like a tiny Miata course, I'll have it really loose because I can throw the back end off and really dive in the corners and stuff.
But is that the fastest way?
Yeah, I think so. For a car that heavy, you've got to learn how to move that weight around.
Yeah, I don't know. Body roll is not fast. You're waiting for the car to react at that point.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like you got to look at that corner a little differently. And if you can get the whole car, instead of swinging the car, if you can keep a little bit more of that momentum and keep the car down.
So with a car that heavy,
you may be faster coming through that corner.
So if you keep it that heavy and you can't throw the weight around, what it'll do is it'll typically just push, and then you don't have grip. So say if it's all kind of balanced, you'll have like the front. Say if you're around the corner, and say if you're going the left-hand corner, if it's all dived, you're gonna have all weight on one corner. Others are kind of lighter, so you can kind of see it. But if it's all even. They're all, I guess, that's really weird. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Typically, Liger pushes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you're going too fast into a corner, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But if you can get the whole car to stay lower and you're still getting the front to come down and use the front as traction, right?
Yeah.
But you're not swinging the back of the car anymore, right? You should be able to get more traction out of it then.
Yeah. I'll have to think about that.
I can't wait to see Rob run it this way.
Yeah.
I think that's exciting.
Oh, mine?
Yeah, with the different balanced brakes. That's going to be a fun conversation.
Well, it will, but also I've added roll cage, which is going to stiffen everything. I'm probably going to fight the car a little bit early in the season for balance. I got it really good last year. It took a while to get all the sway bars, everything balanced the way I liked it. And it's going to change now because the car is going to be stiffer.
Yep.
I've got aero now too. So yes, there's going to be a lot. There's a lot of difference going on. So who knows?
It's almost a different car.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Do rotors matter too much to you, or do you just try to go with OEM kind of quality steel, or do you drill slotted, or is there like a brand? This brand's better than the others.
Yeah, I don't really know. I imagine there's quality of steel differences. It came with drilled Brembos. The back ones, like I said, I'm not getting any wear out of those at all. So they're fine for now. I bought new ones for the front. I have not replaced them yet. I bought them because I was starting to see checking between the holes, the drilled holes, and they scare me a little bit, you know, running big track because you're really heating your brakes up and that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. But I've just kept a close eye on them. I have the other ones to replace as soon as I feel like it's time. Yeah. Which I do think it's really close.
Yeah.
I might just do it now because.
Especially since they're on the lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
But no, as far as I am not sure if there's a huge difference in rotor quality. If anybody knows that, please let us know. But I mean, it's a steel rotor.
We're going to have someone type into us be like, let me tell you, my carbon ceramic brakes are way better, and here's why they are. And they're two-piece, blah, 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 blah,
I think for certain
applications,
you're probably going to see that, right? But that's going to be more like big track, right? Because those ones need to heat up before they start to work right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of professional big track teams run steel still.
Yeah, that might be true too, yeah.
Yeah. Carbon ceramic is just uber expensive. It's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like if you're the Shelby GT350, I've looked them up. They're $15,000 a rotor set.
Yeah, per corner.
Yeah, I wonder.
No, for the whole, well, all four, but yeah.
I wonder what level you have to get to make that beneficial, that jump, you know?
I don't know that it is.
I think if you're on a Le Mans team, like an actual Le Mans 24-hour, not a Lucky Dog, not a Lemons, high money, or an F1, something that, like, if there's a prize cash out millions and millions of dollars or millions of dollars of sponsors, I think that's when it's probably worth it. But like, I'd be surprised.
I mean, those teams have unlimited budget. No, not okay.
Yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt. They have high budgets, right?
Yeah.
So they can afford to put a $10,000 rotor caliper setup per corner on the car.
I wonder how many.
But you know what? They change it every race too.
Yeah,
true.
They don't run those. Us people on a budget cannot afford those things.
It's also lighter too, and lighter
Rotating mass.
Like, I wonder if, like, on, for example, NASCAR, if they even do that. I don't think they do. I mean, like, could you imagine NASCAR? I mean, you'd save weight on that for your size of tires and everything else you're having on that. Well, they run smaller stuff, don't they?
They got a whole different set of rules too.
Yeah, that too.
Their rules are pretty tight. I mean, even on the shape of the car and the downforce.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, their rules are pretty strict on that.
Yeah. So, but I know you turned me on to different brake fluid though, Rob.
Yeah. High temp.
RT660.
Yeah.
I have a Motul 550 at the house for you.
550.
Yeah.
Nah. Run 660.
That's one run 660.
I'll have to look. Maybe it is 660.
Yeah, 660 is the way to go. Now the problem is so spendy, and there's a lot of times doing a lot of brake work to Liger. And
well,
I'm like,
I know. I've gone through cases of that stuff.
It's, at like $70 a bottle or whatever it is.
It's not quite that much, but
it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's worth it. And put that stuff in your clutch too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I did that or not. If I can't remember if I put that in there. I can't remember if I put Motul in there. If I put .4 high temp from.
Does it specify .4? I mean, that's the brand. What their high temp is? What is the temp? What's the temp?
So on the one I use, Blue Bottle, or used to. Well, I do use that too. I think it's 560 dry.
Yeah.
590, and the wet is 530.
Okay, why wouldn't you use 660?
660 is above that for sure. I know, like beforehand, I didn't think I was reaching those temperatures, and then I'm like, oh, now I am reaching those temperatures.
Yeah,
like for example,
I have on clutch fluid. I certainly have, so especially when I was running my Nissan.
On my truck, I'll run the high temp on that because a bigger truck, having weight, if you slam on the brakes, you want them to boil over and lock up. Mm-hmm. So I figured have that on there. But on, everything else will just be like normal .4 on there. But I wouldn't put super dot into, say, the Excursion because that doesn't seem like I would ever get up to that high a temperature on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I don't worry about it much in my street cars, but in my race car, for sure. I use it everywhere I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should get a sponsorship.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody sign me up.
All right. Hey, I do have to meet my wife. We do have our project still going on, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to save this for you guys.
You don't need to save. You can just skip out.
I can piss right off.
I'll delete you right out of it.
Oh, there's a lot of good content there.
We're going to do a Liger update because Grant's been tearing and ripping and tearing, and then we'll be done with today.
Okay.
And he has left, so let's do a little update on the Liger because I know you've been working on it until you collapsed this week.
Yeah.
Our poor Grant's had a little health problem this week, but he's getting better.
Yeah, still having it, but making it through one way or another.
Yep. So what'd you get done before you collapsed?
What did I get done on Liger? I felt like I got a lot done. Oh, the wire harness. Yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I got it fired back up. So for those who don't know, Liger had a issue earlier last year where the headlight was going dim on Liger. No check engine light was coming on for that specifically. Check engine light was coming on for other things. And didn't really put off on that. I'm like, hey, performance of the car is not changing. Why not? Let's just run her, keep going. Mm-hmm. So end of the season, decided to try to figure out what's wrong with her, but I pushed the end of the season off till, last month?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, work and everything else catches up,
You bet.
So digging into it, looking at the headlight, and I had addressed it earlier last year, which was, I'm like, okay, the plug's melted. I was like, and it's not the light bulb, and I thought I found a short partway into the wire, and I'm like, okay, fix short, cut it. I'm like, oh, got it, okay, all good, resoldered new connection, call it good. Well, pulling that out, found the second plug I put in was melted, so I'm like, something's going on. It's got to be grounding out somewhere.
Right.
So following wires back, followed the ground wire of the light bulb plug all the way to the distribution block of the fuses. And I said, okay, I haven't found anything here. Going to still find the ground. So instead of continuing on, I said, you know what? Let me just pull out the fuse box and check underneath. Pull the connector out and see what happens. And lo and behold, that wire I saw, it looked decent. Mm-hmm. But next to it was like a 10 gauge wire, all melted with a lot of other melted wires around it. I'm like, that is no, excuse me.
That got really hot.
Yeah, that was, okay. I'm like, well, there's the problem. Okay, the easy, okay, not easy, but I'll fix it one way or another. We'll figure something out. And then before putting it back, I was like, wait, you know what? I should do the smart thing and follow this wire, because maybe something's happening at the other end.
Yeah.
And follow that wire and find out it is the high-speed wire connector for my radiator fan.
Yep.
And at that end, there ended up being 2 inches of live wire exposed on that end.
It just melted it off.
Just melted on that side. I'm like, okay. Well, luckily no car fire happened.
Right. That's crazy.
Testing through it, I found the high speed of the fan on Liger, because it's got low speed and high speed. The low speed works fine. That's also why I probably didn't notice it, because when you're racing, low speed kicks on,
yep,
and it still spins pretty fast.
Enough to keep the car cool. You weren't overheating.
Nope. But the high speed wasn't kicking on.
Right.
So in testing that, it kept blowing my my circuit breakers with my test probes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, bought a new fan and tried to find a new wiring harness. And that's not easy. Go into Ford and say, I need this, because guess what? The best thing about Ford is on the wire harness that I was looking for, had a printed part number. Went to the dealership. I'm like, hey, I have this number. Can you please look it up? I'm going to see what I can find. And they told me, guess what? We have that number.
Discontinued.
None nationwide available in back stock anywhere.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh no, this is not good. Okay. So their options was try to take the wire harness I have out currently and salvage it somehow with other wires I've got and go through that. And that's already a mess of wires. I'm like, that does not look fun. Or second option was find a used wire harness and make sure that wasn't an issue. And
right.
The other problem I did find out is it's not a common problem with my year Mustang. More of like an uncommon to rare, but does happen, is when the fan does fail in the high speed part.
Yeah.
That circuit is a 40 amp circuit and a 40 amp fuse. And what will happen is if it does fail, that fuse doesn't blow, which I assume the Ford engineers have the wrong size in there. I bet you it's like a 30 amp fuse needs to go in there or something.
Yeah.
Because
it should have blown. Mine
didn't blow, and I saw multiple people on forums where their fuse didn't blow.
Yeah.
With it being melted. That being said, I was like, okay, if I buy a used harness, the risk is, do I buy one and has that been compromised?
Right.
What's going on with that? So I went on eBay and I found the eBay specials. Where it was a used harness, multiple used harness. It said, Liger is a 2007. This one said 205, not 2005, 205 Mustang wire harness. I think harness was misspelt, but the picture looked like it was there. Uh-huh. The description said, something Toyota.
Oh, wow.
But I'm like, that's a Mustang harness. I could see the multiple pictures. That's a Mustang one. And it says in Google that it will fit a Mustang. So I'm like, okay. Ooh. And then the reviews were mixed on the guy.
Yeah.
It said, not in the last 6 months, no communication skills, did not ship on time, didn't do properly or anything like that.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
rough.
I don't have the time to wait on this. But I'm like, the guy wants $100 for this. Whereas I could find one be like 800, 400.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a gamble. If I'm out $100, I'm out $100. If not, it's here. But I emailed the guy first. I said to myself, I'm like, if he messaged me back and says, because I said, when will this be shipped if I buy it? And he said, Monday. And this was on a Saturday. I said, okay. Because my thought was, that was the biggest play. The guy wouldn't ship things out. So if he's shipped it out and sent that, I'll have it by Thursday. So got the thing, sent it in. Guess what? It appeared. It showed up miraculously.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And when I opened it up, it was the right harness, but not the right harness.
Oh.
Yeah. It was I believe it was for an '05 Mustang, and
Okay.
mine's an '07. There
Right.
are subtle differences
Right.
on the two of them. So getting the harnesses side by side, I noticed there was one damaged plug, which I had to repin. I on my tools I have enough the ability to unpin certain plugs,
Right.
and then re-plug in those. So I was able to fix one of them. One of the plugs was completely broken off, like gone, no connector or anything like that. And then on Liger has an extra plug-in that the other one didn't. And that plug-in wouldn't have been too bad because I just had to unplug, plug it, repin it. Thank you, back in, which would have been fine. But it connected to the wire harness, the headlight harness that I just put in.
Oh.
That plug-in from previous, the one that melted.
Yeah.
And that one I had spliced. So I'm like, I'm going to have to solder onto this because I already put that on there. So, with that being said, I had to take both wiring harnesses apart and then slowly put them back together.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to do as little splicing as possible. So, with this new one, I've only had to do one soldering. The rest was all repinning and replacing. One of the plugs that was broken was on the opposite end of the wire harness, so I had to completely take it apart and strip it and put it and just slowly put it back together.
Yeah.
So that way I have one functional wiring harness. So with that being said and all put together, I got everything back in spots. The plastic pins that put everything together and held it in, that was a challenge because a lot of them were damaged.
Yeah.
So I tried to take the best ones I could. I need to buy at some point some new old stock of it.
Yeah.
So I can, if I do want to replace them,
Repin it again. And
yeah. And that's just going to be some eBay searching and Amazon searching. I have found some, but not all. Because you could buy some from junkyards.
Yeah.
But the problem is the older this stuff gets, plastic gets brittle. And especially within the weather.
Well, and people don't know how to take them apart, so they end up breaking it, trying to get it apart.
Exactly. So having a back stock on some of that, especially new old back stock, is just nice to have.
Yeah.
And so did that, put the new radiator fan in, make sure of that, and fired her up, and she ran just fine. Still has check engine light, obviously. So I've got some work to do, and the check engine light was for some emission stuff, which beforehand I already knew.
Yeah.
Got some parts already ordered. They're actually somewhere in this room.
Nice.
That package.
Nice.
There we go. So when I'm better, I'm going to go and put that in Liger, and hopefully once that's done, Liger will be street legal again.
And you're almost ready to go.
So that will get her to roadworthy. So that's the work I got on her before I got sick.
Yeah.
I got everything planned to get her still done, but I don't know if there's enough time to get it done.
Yeah, that's fair. But if it drives, you can still race it.
That's true. There's one thing I'm trying to get done before, which I think I might be able to get done, which is I have a limited slip clutch rebuild kit. Mm-hmm. And Liger's been one wheel peeling for a while now, and I was thinking I should probably replace that.
Yeah.
I've had these carbon fiber clutches soaking in friction fluid. Well, now it's going to be day 9. Hang on there. Okay. Soaking since day 9.
Yeah.
So they'll be way grippy, I'll tell you that, when they're installed.
All right. Cool.
But that's one thing I've been trying to get ready. I think I could probably do that one day after work. I still got left a few other options, which we'll see how far I can get before, race day.
Well, you need to drive out of here on the 10th, ready to go.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough. I'll make it one way or another, but I'm like the steering wheel I'll probably keep. I'm probably, if I got time, I'm going to take the seat out and reupholster it real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to...
Is that a real quick thing? Could you do that yourself?
I could do that in probably 4 hours, 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you get a cover that just goes like a new...
Mm-hmm. I already have the covers at the shop. So the leathers, you just bolt everything and then pop the clips out.
Yeah.
There's...
Rewrap it and
rewrap it. There's three hog rings in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad just to re-put them back in.
Huh. That's cool.
The hardest thing is, I think, is going to be, I don't have new foam for Liger.
Yeah.
So that being said, it won't give me the same wraparound, but the main thing is the leather is so worn out. It just kind of, I wouldn't say, it is kind of embarrassing to have a car like that and have like the leather showing and the foam ripping up. Mm-hmm. I like to take better care of my cars than that.
Yeah.
The other big thing is I've got the rocker panels. I'd love to have that finished, but to paint it and get it ready beforehand, That's a big ask. I mean, a lot of this is...
Yeah, I think if you get it roadworthy for the weekend,
Yeah.
and then catch that stuff
Afterwards,
after,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably what I'm going to have to do because we're just so rushed on time. Like, if
Yeah.
I did not get sick and temporarily end up in the hospital for a day,
Right. Yep.
which we don't need to go too much detail, but I'm fine now. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Or better, getting better. Then, yeah, we'll, she'll be back on the road and keep going soon.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you want it perfect.
I want it perfect.
But
To race...
is what it is.
To race, she doesn't need to be perfect, but there's going to be a point where for me personally, I have a standard of what my car should be and how she should act.
Yep.
And I want to get to her. I still haven't canceled the order on the wheels.
That was the next question. It's
Yeah.
like, did you get a hold of them again?
I have not.
You never did send me the information.
I know. I'll send it to you.
All right.
Yeah. The thing is, so I've ordered. Have we talked about the Apex wheels I ordered?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, it's still not in. It's once it gets May. I'll be surprised if it gets May and they still say they haven't shipped them out, even though they said. And I still am hesitant if I want to. I kind of want to keep them if we get them.
Yeah.
Because it'd be nice to have for the season. It'd be nice if I decided to race Liger having, 315s on the car.
Ooh.
You know.
Grippy.
Yeah, I mean, just because when we get the new secret project going, that's gonna be fun to do. But there's times you don't. What's the word? If you're eating chocolate every day, you're gonna get bored of it, or cake every day.
Yes.
Sometimes you want variety.
I would agree that about cake.
Yeah, So like, there might be some times where, like, I miss Liger and want to have it because there's like the new car, or like I want a radio. I want some leather seats.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah. So, like, that's the thing is, like, I get that in Liger. I won't get that in the speed car.
Right. Race car. You have to go with other bells and whistles.
Yep.
Maybe some
Headphones.
Yep. You're gonna have to use headphones.
Yeah.
That's it. Right on. Well, that's a good update. Appreciate that. I think that's it for today.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Untitled Car Project.
Yeah, this is a good
check
episode.
out the Instagram at Untitled Car Project and untitledcarproject@gmail.com.
We also have a Twitter now. Our handle is at Untitled Car Pro because you can't fit a J.
Okay.
So
Untitled Car Pro. I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah.
Good.
That was one thing I was going to tell you this morning. So we have that now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. We'll link that up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Cool. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Tune in again next week.
Yeah.
We'll have some more content for you.
Talk to you guys soon. Keep building.